Hi, my name is Anderson, and I'm part of the MFL House here on campus. And this is my house project. It's called Why I Speak. And essentially, what this is it's going to be a series of videos and stories just based off other people's interactions with either language shaming or just who want to give their opinion on what it means to be able to speak another language besides English here in America. And I guess the reason I'm doing this is because uh, I guess I feel no person should be shamed for speaking a language that isn't English. We just have to face the fact that we are entering this new time in which it's just so much easier to connect with other people from all over the world. And we just can't restrict ourselves to just strictly speaking English because that's not just how we're going to interact with people. Not anymore. We're going to interact with people who don't always speak the same language as we do. But essentially, what it breaks down to is just communication in general and how we will go about this communication. And language has always been one of the best ways to communicate with people just because it creates some form of basic understanding. So that's why I decided to do this, because I want people to see what it means to other people to be able to speak a language that isn't English here in America and what it really means to them. And I suppose I'll start off with my own story. Um, Fortunately, I have been lucky enough not to experience language shaming until last summer. I was working at a Mexican restaurant. I'm a fluent Spanish speaker, as were everyone else who's working there. And it was just so much easier to talk to them in Spanish because they all spoke Spanish. It was their first language. So, just as a courtesy thing, I would talk to them in Spanish. And everything was just going fine one day. I was talking with one of my coworkers. We were talking Spanish up at the podium, and a customer walks into the door. He was not part of the conversation beforehand. I did not know him. We were not talking about him. We couldn't possibly be talking about him because he wasn't inside the restaurant. He just walked in. But he heard us talking Spanish, and he walked up to the podium and just said, "No Spanish, only English." And I was just astounded by all of this because I just couldn't understand how someone could tell me not to speak Spanish. In no way was I trying to insult him or anything, and I couldn't have because he wasn't involved in the conversation. It was just me talking to someone else in Spanish, something that made it easier for us to understand each other. And yet we're being told that we have to reject that entire form of communication, an entire form of, I guess, expression that we have been using for the longest time to communicate. And I have never felt that before. I've never been told I couldn't speak Spanish. And it hurt a little bit. I've never been told to reject that part of me. And I mean, that was just my experience. And like I said, I've been fortunate enough not to experience anything like that until now. But I know there have been plenty of other people who have constantly experienced that throughout their entire lives, especially here in the US. And so, who knows? Maybe we'll hear a little bit more about them in a little bit. We'll see.